Did you know that potatoes are actually really good for your digestion? But it's one of the most wasted vegetables. Why is that? I think it's just because people have ran out of ideas of things to do. Either we would stick to mashed potatoes or French fries. And I want to show you that there's different ways to do things, and maybe even a little bit healthier ways to do it. So today we're going to make some fries. So we have a couple different types of potatoes here. We've got these, which I actually wound up picking up on sale because they were an odd shape and size. But they're just a russet potato, and they work just as well for potatoes. We're going to wind up using those in a different recipe though. This time we're actually going to be using these guys, along with these guys. Now these are fingerlings. This is a labrat, and then this is actually a new type of potato called an anarosa, which has a beautiful red interior. But it's also full of vitamin B, so it can actually be kind of good for you.
As you can see, we've got our potatoes picked out, but we've got a couple other things we're going to need. We're going to need some garlic powder, some onion powder, some pepper. I'm going to use some sea salt along with celery, along with some olive oil for the pan and some rosemary to finish. Now we're going to top our fries with 2 poached eggs. So I've got some white vinegar there as well and some eggs. You're also going to need 2 saucepans with some water in them and a little basket to steam your potatoes in. Along with that, since we're going to poach 2 eggs, we're going to have a slotted spoon, and that'll help us get our potatoes out of the water as well. And I have 2 little dishes to put my eggs in. And finally, you're going to need a fry pan, and that's actually because we're going to be sautéing our fries instead of using like the oven baked method or air fry or the traditional method of actually frying them in oil. So I got my potatoes in front of me along with a pot that's about half full of water and some water for myself. All we're going to do is we're going to chop our potatoes in half and then into quarters and then into eighths. Now that we've got all our potatoes cut up and added to our water, we're going to crack our eggs into our dishes, and that's going to help us when we go to poach our eggs. It's going to make the process way easier. We're going to want to take our 2 pots of water and add them to the stove, bring them up over a medium-high heat until they're boiling. And you can see in the background how I have a plate with a paper towel on it. That's going to be for our poached eggs. Once you see your pot is boiling, add some salt to help season the potatoes, and then set a timer for around 3 to 5 minutes. Once your time is up, the potatoes should be partially cooked, and we're going to scoop them out and put them in our basket. And then we're going to put them back over the water so that they can steam and dry out. And we're going to want to grab our fry pan, add it to the stove, and put some oil in it. Now remember, we're just sautéing, so we don't need a ton of oil. After about 5 minutes, your potatoes should be steamed, and we'll add them to the fry pan for sautéing. And this is how we're going to get our fry-like texture. Instead of deep frying them or baking them in the oven, we've boiled them and then steamed them, and then now we're going to crisp the outside, similar to a classic French fry. But this method uses way less oil. We already seasoned our potatoes once while they were boiling, but we're going to add a little extra salt on the outside. And this I'm going to use a little nicer salt called celery. And we're just going to brown each side. And it's only going to take us about 5 minutes. And you can actually cut down on your time even more. If you pre-boil them and steam them before and put them in the fridge for later, you can just take them out and then sauté them up whenever you want. And it's a great way to use up extra potatoes. Once your fries are close to being done, we're going to add in the rest of our seasoning. Now we want to make sure we do this at the very end of the process so that none of it burns. I'm just going to add in a little onion powder and garlic powder, but you actually can use any type of fry seasoning you might want. And to finish my fries off, I'm going to add a little bit of rosemary just off the heat, and then toss everything to combine. And now into poaching the eggs. I've added salt to the water, as well as some vinegar. Because egg whites are a base, adding some acid to the water will help set them. I'm going to stir up the water and then plunge the egg in, and that's going to help wrap the egg whites around the yolk. And then I'm going to let it cook about 2 minutes to 2.5 minutes. A good way to check if it's done is to look at the way the egg jiggles. If it moves together as one, it should definitely be set. But don't leave it in too long because you'll cook the egg yolk all the way through. And remember, when you take your egg out, you're going to want to remove any excess water and then put it on a paper towel and then add a little bit of that celery to it. So again, for our second egg, we're going to stir it up and pop the egg in, and about 2 to 2.5 minutes later, we'll take it out. And now we've got everything done, we're just going to need to plate it up. I went ahead and made a couple extra potatoes, so I'm going to add that to what I've already got. You may also have to do this in a couple batches, or if you make too many, again, you can always save them for later in the fridge, and then just saute them up later. I'm just going to plate my eggs up, and then I can't wait to cut into these. There you go, perfectly poached eggs. The egg yolks are going to make an amazing sauce for our fries. I totally recommend trying to make this for a brunch. It's one of my favorites.
And there you have it, a new way to make French fries that's easy. Also, a great brunch recipe. I encourage you to go out there and try and make this. It's really easy. And if you want to get better at another skill, try this video.